It's time. It's almost time. I think we're live.
Are we
I
live?
know. We're live.
What?
We're
Akash,
live.
we're live.
After a long break. Yes, we are live. Hello. Welcome.
We are live. What?
Huh.
How are we live?
We are live through the miracle of technology.
That's insane. How are you,
Welcome,
man?
one and all. I'm good, man. How are you, man? What an interesting weekend we had.
Yeah, we had an interesting, very.
We got to be on a panel with people who actually know their cricket.
Yeah, it felt very imposter syndrome. But
Yeah.
maza
Yeah.
aaya.
Yeah, and I was interested, and it was nice to know that we're not the only ones talking shit also. But we'll get to that. कैसा है पब्लिक, कैसे हो सब लोग? वेलकम बैक. वीकली क्रिकेट स्ट्रीम ऑफ काउच पंडित्स इज बैक. वी टुक अ ब्रेक इन द मिडिल बिकॉज़ कुछ हो नहीं रहा था. एकेए इंडिया वेस्ट इंडीज ओडीआई कुछ नहीं हो रहा था. एंड आज भी टी20 हो रहा है. एंड अभी क्या ही मतलब क्या बोलने का. टी20 हो रहा है, क्या करें हम क्या नाचें हैं?
We all can see what is happening in the T20. It's not a lot. And also India women are playing. New Zealand women and losing.
Pretty close match last match.
Yeah, but like fielding needs to improve and how.
उसका तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते ना. अभी जब तक जितना वो लोग ट्राई कर रहे हैं उतने से हो रहा है ना. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो लोग.
हाँ, बट मतलब नहीं यार, इतना फील्डिंग खराब नहीं हो सकता है. It can't be. You can't expect to win.
In some sense. Before we call on our guest, before we get into the mega auction, which is really of most interest to us right now, very quickly just want to give you update on the T20 match as well. 86 for 1. India is doing okay. Kohli is on 13 of 8. Every time I watch Kohli, I hear digit dance, and it really messes with me, so I try not to watch. Thoughts, feelings, emotions about today, Dhaval. Rohit playing well. Rohit captaincy wise, okay with you? Everything okay? सब ठीक था. ODI में कुछ लगा, कुछ फील हुआ, कुछ बोलने लायक है? And sorry audience, मैं थोड़ा खाएगा, मैं शो करके आया just. हाँ.
Rohit captaincy is as we expected Rohit captaincy to be, nondescript, nothing to write home about, flying under the radar and winning everything. तो मतलब बोलने लायक ज्यादा कुछ है नहीं. आज एक मोमेंट था. विराट टोल्ड हिम रिव्यू ले मत ले, ये ले, उसने ले लिया. 2 आवाजें ये वो. तो अच्छा है. स्टंप माइक से ज्यादा सुनने को मिल रहा है. So you can we can because there are no crowds in the ground, we can really listen to how this dynamic plays out as more than we could have with crowds on the ground, because stump mics is clearer than all that.
A couple of times also this sense of, in fact, in the ODI series, I saw a couple of times where DRS decisions were being taken, and Kohli was not even part of that conversation. So I think on some level, Kohli is also like, मेरे को ये करना भी है पर मेरे को नहीं भी करने का है. Like ऐसा नहीं लग रहा है कि वो थोड़ा सा वो भी थोड़ा hanging in the feeling, because he wants to be 100% invested, but he knows कि अभी allowed नहीं है almost.
Yeah, that's true. And it's been a while since I've seen Kohli field at deep mid wicket or deep square leg. Very rarely he fields in the deep, but when he does, it's usually long on, long off.
Very Kane Williamson vibe.
हाँ, तो चला भेज दिया उसको उधर, जा इधर से. तो यार बाकी तो मतलब यार इन्वॉल्वमेंट ये वो they'll figure it out, I'm sure. पहले भी मतलब सेम ही करते थे, खाली कोहली who used to make the signal. Now Rohit makes the signal, so it's not that much different.
Fair enough. Do you feel like coming to the women's series, because we just touch upon that as well, we seem to have some amazing wicketkeeper batsmen in our midst when it comes to the Indian women's team. One of them keeps stepping up series after CP. It was Deepa earlier. It was who was it now? Sorry,
it's Tanya Bhatia now.
But very good films in terms of the ladies stepping up, the wicketkeeper stepping up. This whole generation of cricketers who was inspired by Kohli is now coming to fruition almost. Dhoni is coming to fruition almost now. Chat, yeah, it's nice to see so many familiar names in the chat. Let us also know what you think about this stuff that we're talking about. Those, any thoughts? Any other like as a closing thoughts? ले रहा हूँ मैं हर चीज पर भी.
मतलब since we last came on, I think India won the Under-19 World Cup also.
Oh so yeah, that was also quite thanda only though. Except for that South African guy we bought, everything was thanda.
No, what has been all over social media is, and I'm quite upset with this, is that जो स्प्लाइस करके दिया है ना कि वो ध्रुल शॉट मारता है 6 के लिए विनिंग रन, or immediately it cuts to Mahendra Singh Dhoni hitting the six. It's just like why? And the commentary also that follows is about Dhoni. It's not about the actual under-19 World Cup. Like, so I was quite irritated. Mahendra Singh Dhoni wins it for India, blah blah blah. But यार India under-19 World Cup जीता है. But इसको उसका बात करना है. इसलिए हम भी नहीं बात करें. We are here. Yeah. We're here as we are always. We're here to talk about the IPL auction. And we have a very special guest with us. He is an expert, analyst.
Message him before we called him on, by the way. Did you message him?
I mean, yeah, he said he's ready. Everyone knows who he is. Not like it's a secret. It's Gurkirat Singh Gill. And Gurkirat, if you could turn on your mic and camera and this and that. Hello, sir. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Would you light keep it? I think lights probably.
It's a little bright on your face.
Just give me.
That's all right. Go ahead. Meanwhile, Akash, this is a question that I had. Theme of the stream or something like that, I thought, was what, like, auction do you think is the right way to go about it? Not from a cricketing perspective, okay? Gurkirat, this is also for you. It's not from a cricketing perspective, but like from a human perspective. ये लोग auction हो रहे हैं. They don't have a choice of which team they end up in.
Correct.
And they don't have a choice about how much they get paid. Financial aspects aside, they don't have a choice of which team they end up in. They can't be like, nahi, mere ko iske saath nahi khelna hai. Like Ashwin and Josh Butler playing together. I'm not saying they will actually say no, but what do you think about this whole auction? How much more should players have a say in this? First, I'll go to Gurkirat with this.
See, I think if for that to happen, you probably need to have a transfer wala system in EPL.
The free
where
market.
players have their own managers, etc. But what it would do is it would essentially kill the competitiveness of the league, because in EPL there is no purse, and because there is no purse, you can see teams like Manchester City buy all the great players and then become stronger the way they have in the last 5 to 6 years. मैं इतना follow नहीं करता, so 5-6 years का 7-8 भी हो सकता है, but I think people get the gist. So, but like if you are in any professional space, like if you are working or if you are doing a job, or even if you are in your own business, you are going to come across people who you won't like particularly, right? But you will still find ways to survive and do your work or do your job. So the same goes here. I think it may not be ideal for some cricketers, but what it is doing is it is ensuring that there is financial security for cricketers to carry on playing cricket, even if they are not making it to the higher level. Because I've had an expert, Peter Della Penna, who's an American cricket journalist, who said that the pressure on associate cricketers is far more than what it is on a Virat Kohli or Kane Williamson, because these people still know that tomorrow they will be a cricketer, regardless of them getting out for a duck or 100. For a lot of associate cricketers, you don't know. You lose one game, your whole contract, your board could stop existing, and you might just go back and drive an Uber or working for Amazon or whatsoever. So there are these things as well. Like for most things in life, there are pros and there are cons. I think hai chota sa con, but I think it's not something which is groundbreaking, because if you allow players to choose which teams that they're going to play for, then RCB and Punjab will never be able to get 5 players. Forget 11.
Yeah, but you were talking about how football has this very clear disparity between teams who are way richer than the others, and you're right. Like Manchester City is a great example. Their squad is so good right now that they can literally field 3 proper teams across competition. But so what? That will just encourage franchises to get better. Investors will come into different franchises. I am not saying, oh, pura khol do, but cap rakho, sab pe cap rakho. Put the same market, like, fee cap for everyone. This is how much you can spend on transfers or buying players for the next 3 years. And if you sell one player, then like have some fair play involved. But I'm saying open up the market to the players as well. Right now, by only putting the name in the auction, that's the only freedom they have.
Next,
बाकी तो कुछ
I
है
would
नहीं.
disagree with you on that. Firstly,
Of
they
course
can
you
choose
would.
their base price. Okay, they can choose their base price. So, dude, you don't know how that feeling. I mean, Dhaval, you would understand from a freelancer perspective. Okay, where many a times you quote X amount and then you realize, fuck, budget usse zyada tha. So this permanently solves that problem. Okay, because you are saying कि इतना पैसा मेरे लिए पागल है, right? तो सोच ना 20 लाख तो स्टार्टिंग है ना, 20 लाख तो मोरल स्टार्टिंग है सब बच्चे लोग का, तो 20 लाख में तो
10
सॉरी 10 लाख, तो 10 लाख स्टार्टिंग
अर्जुन तेंदुलकर का बेस प्राइस वाज 10 lakhs.
हाँ, so अभी तो अगर और वो भी वो चूज करते, they can say no to a certain base price, they can go for lesser, they can try to quote themselves higher, and then no matter who you are, even if you start at 10 lakh rupees, the fact is somebody else will bid at least once or twice just to fuck with you and make you pay more money. Okay, so उस हिसाब से player का ये उल्टा है, wherein the actual real market, what you are doing is you are constantly getting either undercut or you are unaware of what the budget is and therefore you end up getting less money. Here the free agent of a player is able to say कि तेरे को जितना खर्चा कर सकता है मेरे पे तू करके दिखा, you know. And the minute one person bids on a player, that means the player is going to get bought. It's not like the player can't be bought now. So I feel like it's just something that encourages the player, yeah, if anything else. More importantly, and I would say secondly, to think of this as a commoditization of a person is wrong. This is a commoditization of a service, which is a completely fair thing to do. We are not selling people. We are selling their services to a team for a fixed duration, during which there is a strong mutual benefit for both parties. Playing in the IPL is as good for any player as it is, you know, I mean, it's way better than playing in the Big Bash or the Vitality, isn't it? So I think if anything, it's a branding exercise for a player. So even if you play 1 or 2 seasons, maybe you get 2 matches, you play well in those 2 matches and it can change your entire existence. Rahul Tewatia, hello, what the hell was that? You know, like it can elevate you so much. So I think it's completely fair. I think तू ज़्यादा react कर रहा है. And chat भी ऐसा ही सोचता है. Chat, if you think that Dhaval is overreacting, please comment with a ball of any nature. And if you think he's not overreacting, please comment with a food of any nature. And if you think that both of us should stop doing this stupid emoji thing every time, please comment with a round food.
My whole issue with this started from the image of Jofra. Your video is stuck for some reason.
What Dhaval was saying. To add to what Dhaval was saying, there should be a trading window. There is actually a trading window between the season where you can trade players if you think that some player is not adding value or some player is not happy. There's also a mid-season transfer window. It's just that IPL teams haven't been able to exercise it well enough, where you can switch players in the transfer season. But the reason to not let a player go who's not adding value to your team, like you take the example of IPL 2020. Now Rishabh Pant was injured for Delhi. He did not play those 3 games and they had to play Alex Carey, which meant even Shimron Hetmyer was sitting out. Now, at the very same time, someone like Parthiv Patel was not getting a game for RCB. Like, now that switch could have easily happened for one of the players in Delhi for a local action, but it didn't happen because RCB knew if Parthiv Patel goes to Delhi, then they are at an advantage. So teams also don't do that for that reason. There can be one thing which can be done, which is you can have a pre-season transfer as well, like before the auctions. If you think 2 teams are okay, then why not? But then again, the more these kind of rules you make, the more you allow for, you know, some kind of malicious intent also. Matlab, 2 teams can sort of get together and see like, acha, iska ho rahe hain, and during the auction they decide, acha, now we have fucked up, so might as well change these players, right? So wo hai. So I mean, yeah, like eventually what I'm trying to say is that the player may not be happy, but it is still, you know, not big enough of a con to straight away open a trading window, because then there will be some teams who will be at a complete disadvantage.
हाँ मतलब वो तो है, but वैसे भी advantage is part of the game, and I think it just adds to the competition. My I had really two issues with this. One was the picture of Jofra Archer next to the tomato and the pav bhaji. उसको ऐसा picture डाल के उसके नीचे 8 crore लिख दिया था. So that really got to me. Like I was affected by it, which
But
was
that's
why I
some
said,
social media intern, man.
yeah, and I thought it was really messed up to do that. But that aside, now let's take the case of KS Bharat. KS Bharat is going to be playing for Delhi Capitals. Rishabh Pant is already in the team. He is not going to get a game in that team. And he's going to waste a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years in that team. Instead, he could be in another team, maybe like a Gujarat Titans who don't really have a wicket keeper. They've got Matthew Wade eventually. But if KS Bharat played for Gujarat Titans, Indian wicket keeper, who would get a lot of game time. Now, KS Bharat, I'm sure, would rather play for a franchise where he gets game time than play for Delhi Capitals, which is a good franchise. Gujarat Titans is a new franchise. We don't know how they're going to turn out. Delhi Capitals being an established franchise, yes, he might want to go there. But wouldn't he rather get game time at this stage of his career and make a case for maybe playing for India someday? So that part being taken away is something I have a problem with.
तो ये मैनचेस्टर के प्लेयर को नहीं लग रहा है उसके पास इतना अच्छा प्लेयर है कि वो 3 फीट टीम फील्ड कर सकता है, तो उसका जो बेंच पे बैठा है उसका भी गांड जल रहा है ना कि मेरे को क्यों नहीं खेलने मिल रहा है. ये तो लॉजिक ही नहीं है.
नहीं, मैनचेस्टर में ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है ना, क्योंकि मैनचेस्टर में ये लोग 3 टीम फील्ड कर सकते हैं ना, तो इसके लिए उसका मैनेजर वो लोग को मतलब ऐसा whip करता है कि तुम लोग नहीं खेलोगे तो तुमको निकाल देगा मैं. If you don't perform in one game, you don't guarantee yourself a starter in the next game. In the Manchester City lineup, there are maybe 2 players I can name that are going to play every game. The other 9 it could change from game to game based on their performances and based on rest and rotation.
अरे बाबा, बट फुटबॉल में तुम हगो तो तुम 20 बार हग सकते हो. बैट्समैन एक बार ही हगे तो आउट हो जाता है ना यार. तो इसलिए तो तू यू कांट से बोथ. तू बोलता है सेकंड चांस भी तो बैट्समैन को, फिर तू बोलता है कि प्रेशर
मैं नहीं बोल रहा है सेकंड चांस तो बैट्समैन को. मेरा एक पॉइंट सिंपल है, केएस भारत को कितना गेम टाइम मिलेगा.
आई एम कमिंग टू दैट. आपको if the tournament allows you to have maximum up to 25 players, that essentially means that you are going to have a backup for each and every position in the 11, right? Now, eventually, that player who's in the backup may or may not get the chance, right? But that is going to be the case with every franchise. Now, you mentioned KS Bharat. There has been someone like R. Sai Kishore who's been a part of Chennai Super Kings for 4 seasons and he's been bought by Super Kings again. Same for Jagadishan. So, है वो बात. अब उसमें क्या है कि either the player becomes adamant and tells the franchise that I want a trade or you don't pick me, right? Because after 3 seasons, I'm sure there are conversations between franchises between the franchise and player where they don't tell them, like where they don't even say that they don't want to pick him. Like Sunrisers did not even bid for Warner. It's not so. It was clear that they didn't want that player in the franchise. So there are obviously these conversations as well. But coming to just KS Bharat case, I think there's a case for him to play alongside Pant in that 11. Purely because of what he did versus Delhi in the last season. And I think that was one major reason why they bought him. एक तो backup wicket keeper भी हो जाएगा, number 3 पे बैटिंग कर सकता है और मार्च को तब 5 पे खिला लेंगे. पर ये जो केस है ना कि वो मौका नहीं मिलेगा, वो तो वैसे तो 11 प्लेयर रहने ही हैं with every team.
Exactly.
Get a lot of games.
और उस लॉजिक से तो लाखों प्लेयर है ही ना हमेशा जिनको नहीं मिल रहा है स्पॉट.
उसमें I'll even tell you what. I'll tell you one more thing. So there are few overseas players who keep a base price of 2 CR because they think कि अगर 2 CR से कम मिल रहा है तो it's not worth for them to miss out on any county or something and sit on the bench, right? तो मेरा पॉइंट ये है कि कुछ ना मिलने से अच्छा फिर भी बेटर है कि तुम बेंच पे रह के कुछ तो सीखोगे. You might become a net bowler for other team. Some scout might pick you up, etc. Like there was this guy Simarjeet Singh who's been picked up by CSK. Now Ashwin said that he was a net bowler for Delhi, and because he was bowling well in the nets, DC thought if someone gets injured or something like that happens, they will get him as a replacement. So it is still better than having no opportunity. It is not ideal, but in the beginning of your career, you can't get ideal opportunities. मतलब 1% लोगों को मिलता होगा.
And there is another reason for foreign players putting their prices at 2 CR and all, because I don't know how far this is true for Australian players, but the English players have to give a percentage of their IPL fee as a fee to their counties.
Yeah.
If you remember, Sam Billings came for a very low price. He ended up spending money to be in the IPL.
Yeah.
And in that one season. But for him, he said it's a great thing because I got to learn so much and I got to eventually play for England and develop my game and all that.
So we're very quickly going to take a couple of super chats. Devansh, as usual, coming back. Thank you so much, Devansh. Welcome back. Hey bros, how are you? क्या खा रहा है? मैं noodles खा रहा है यार. मैं dinner नहीं किया आज. Rajasthan looks strong this year. We will get to it. We'll do team to team breakdown in just a little bit. Benny was saying so sad Zampa is not going to be there. Thank you for the super chats, Benny. $5. Wow, that's a match. If Pakistani players could be in the auction, who would you sell? Or rather, who would sell? And how much? For how much would they go for? And where would they go? That's interesting. If you open up the Pakistani roster to this auction, there are a couple of teams who definitely need some fast bowlers. There are a couple of teams who definitely need some power hitters. And there are a couple of teams who could use a better opening batsman than they already have. Thoughts, guys?
I'll say this upfront. Babar Azam will go unsold. He will not get a bid. 100%. 100%.
नहीं है वो अच्छा.
You can get an Indian opener to anchor. When you can get an Indian opener who can anchor, why would you spend an overseas spot on it, right?
Exactly.
Someone like Shaheen Shah Afridi will go for big bucks, probably even more than Ishan Kishan. Left arm angle, can bowl at pace in all, and plus he performed with India. So ये तो होता ही IPL में. Once you perform with India, your stock price goes up in the IPL straight away. Then someone like, see, overseas batsman का ना वैसे ही मुश्किल ही होता है. It's more fast bowlers and all rounders. Someone like Asif Ali, Shadab Khan, who's been having a brilliant, मतलब top 4 में बैटिंग करता है, तुम्हें 4 ओवर भी दे रहे हैं लेग स्पिन के, तुम्हें और क्या लोगे? He's like the spinner version of Ben Stokes, right? So Imad Wasim is someone like Akshar Patel, probably a better batter than Akshar Patel, if not a better bowler. So Imad Wasim हो गए. तो जो all rounders है ना, who can hit big in the end, they will always get value in the IPL, because you can see that from the likes of Romario Shepherd and Rahman Powell. They have had one good season of the CPL, but because you don't get Indian power hitters at number 6, number 7, is the fact कि कोई भी जिसका एक season भी अच्छा आता है, franchises are ready to take a punt on that player and get him. So Asif Ali, Kushdeel Shah, ये जो lower order के वो है ना power hitters who can also give you overs, they would go for some money. I don't think though Hassan Ali will get money because his bowling's been on a complete downfall for like a year or so now. But yeah, Shaheen Shah Afridi, Shadab Khan, Asif Ali, yes, they would get good money.
Benny बोल रहा है, I need to pick a new IPL team. Should I pick Delhi or Punjab? Pick Mumbai, because I feel like all of a sudden Mumbai is like on weak footing. On which note, I think we should start with this, because it's going to take a while to get through it, because there are 10 teams now, guys. It's not 8 anymore. Stop pretending like this is going to not take up your entire life when it starts. So starting off, Bangalore से शुरू करें. I'm gonna go in order of teams I dislike the most. Okay, teams that I know have classically been a disappointment both as teams and as human beings, occasionally as cricketers. Royal Challengers Bangalore spending 88.5 crore rupees ऊपरा ऊपरी, 1.5 करोड़ अभी भी पॉकेट में, और काफी इंटरेस्टिंग प्लेयर्स खरीदे गए. Notably, obviously, Josh Hazelwood, Jason Bernard, वही वाला, David Willey, nice to see him there. Glenn Maxwell obviously coming back. Retain Faf du Plessis, or he's going to open. What's going to happen? Vanindu Hasaranga, who apparently, see, Dhaval is very me gusto with that fact. I think it's whatever. Rutherford, who has been banged around from here to there a bunch, has made his way to Royal Challenge Bangalore, and Finn Allen, who I had never heard of before I read his name right now.
New Zealander.
Oh, no wonder. तो क्या हो रहा है? ये शुरू करते हैं फॉरेन प्लेयर से शुरू करते हैं, बिकॉज हमें इंडियन लोग हैं तो थोड़ा फैसिनेशन तो रहता है.
Before we start this, Gurkirat is doing a wonderful analysis of all the teams on his Instagram and his Twitter. So if you guys have not already seen it, like very detailed and everything, so please go check it out. The socials are in the description and all. So I have a few points. Mainly, I think the biggest issue I see with Bangalore is the lack of quality and proven spin options. There is Karan Sharma, Lomror, and Maxwell and Vanindu. I mean, Maxwell and Vanendu, if they are your spinners, they are not like in T20 cricket, maybe, but they are not spinners as such. This is my issue with Bangalore and lack of a. Yeah, I think that's really the biggest issue they have. बाकी सब तो मतलब इधर उधर है. What do you think?
So I probably I think they have the best bowling attack in the entire tournament, because Hazelwood is definitely going to play. Hazelwood ensures that you get wickets in the power play. There is Siraj and Harshal who will bowl at the death. Then they are going to have someone like Hasaranga who will bowl for sure. They will also play Shahbaz Ahmed, and they have Maxwell to bowl as well. Now, in Maxwell and Shahbaz, individually they are not great spinners, but as a combination, uh, Hasaranga provides wrist spin, leg spinning option. Shahbaz Ahmed provides left arm spin, and Maxwell provides off spin. So they have all the areas covered of bowling that you need. They have all disciplines in their lineup, right? So that way they have the best bowling attack because they have all phases covered. You can have Hazelwood bowl 2 to 3 overs in the power play, then 1 over somewhere in between, or even at the death. There's Harshal, like I said, and there's Siraj. So they could probably not bowl Siraj at all in the power play and save him for the death and middle overs, which is great. So on paper, they have a very good bowling attack which covers all disciplines and variety. So that is one thing that they have done brilliantly. The problem for them is that they don't have a great left-handed batting option. Their best left-handed batsman is either going to be Anuj Rawat or Mahipal Lomrod. And that is a problem because we have seen Kohli is not great against spin. Today also he's been dismissed to left-arm spin. Faf du Plessis also isn't great with spin. So if Faf and Kohli are opening, as the opposition captain, you don't have to do anything else but bowl a left-arm spinner or a leg spinner. So that is a problem. So their biggest problem is going to be how to separate Faf and Kohli from batting together, because Kohli in the last 2 seasons also has been. लोग उसकी कैप्टनसी की इतनी बात करते हैं कि they don't realize he's been very bad with the bat in the last 2 seasons. His strike rate's been 120.
Oh no, we realize, we all realize. Chat, तुम लोग realize करता है ना कुछ sign of life दो? No, everyone realizes. Trust me, it's the only thing we talk about everywhere I go, including comedy shows.
But the strike rate point is something which people don't discuss, and people think कि ठीक है वो anchor है, but between over 7 to 11 last season, his strike rate was below 100. So for them, the problem is that one, Kohli and Faf can't bat together. They probably have to separate them. One of them has to move to middle order and ensure he's batting in the end. They are batting in the end till the death. Dusra, the issue is there is over reliance on someone like Glenn Maxwell in the middle overs, which I am not sure is always the great thing because he's a hit and a miss player. So for the very first time, it's their batting which has issues than their bowling. Bowling wise, they are pretty sorted. And if they make Faf du Plessis the captain, then they are pretty much going to play the same of 4 overseas players all throughout, because you've paid 10.7 for Hasaranga, you will play him. Maxwell you retained, you will play him. Hazelwood you will play him given how good he was in the World T20 and the previous IPL. And if you make Faf the captain, then your 4 overseas players are sealed at that point of time. So all 4 may not play. So if they make Faf the captain and he's not performing, then they could be very much in like a Morgan KKR situation, which I don't think is ideal. So if I was there, I would probably make Dinesh Karthik the captain and give myself the liberty to play around with those 4 foreigners. Probably, may not play Faf, might play Rutherford or might play Finn Allen if the need comes. Anyway,
but that seems to be the talk on the floor, right? Like that's the talk that's going around right now. Like, why else would you buy DK unless you want him, a finisher captain who can also keep?
No, but there have been talks that they might make Faf the captain. So
yeah, there is a lot of talk about Faf the captain, but just before Gurkeet said it, I was also thinking that on paper the only other option, only other Indian option I see is DK.
Or you might make Maxwell the captain, because Maxwell also you can't replace because he also gives you overs.
हाँ, but वही है ना, overseas captain का वही है कि once they stop performing, like an overseas player is should be replaced if they stop performing more often than an Indian player, and that becomes way more difficult when they are your captain. Like we've seen with David Warner, we've seen with Owen Morgan, we've seen this too often in the past, and I really hope
100%.
we
It has
see
happened with the
something.
likes of Gilchrist, Sangakkara, George Bailey.
Yeah,
It's happened with everyone. It's not ideal at all.
and
It
I
also
think
happened
DK
with
is a
JP
decent
Gillani.
captain.
Sorry?
DK is a decent captain.
He is, plus, given कि कितना reliance हो गया on numbers and backroom staff with Mike Hessen being involved and these guys also being involved, captain becomes more of an execution guy. And even if you want someone who wants to use his own brain as well. So DK has had the experience of captaining Tamil Nadu for 2-3 seasons. He's also captained KKR for 2 seasons. So he can do that. And when he was a part of Delhi or when he was a part of MI, he's also been a standing skipper whenever the main captain's been injured. So DK can do that. And he's one of the most, how do I say it? He's one of the most traveled around guys in Indian domestic cricket. There's, I think, barring CSK from the state which he comes and Sunrisers Hyderabad, he's played for almost all IPL teams. So he knows which player is who does what, and he's still playing domestic cricket actively. The difference between him and Raina is Raina has stopped playing domestic cricket, which is why he's not been able to work on his skill also, and he went unsold. But DK has been consistently playing domestic cricket. In the Vijay Hazare Trophy final, he scored 100. So, so I would have personally made Dinesh Karthik the captain.
Fair enough.
पर इतना फॉरवर्ड सोचते तो फिर होते ही नहीं ना वो लोग आरसीबी. वही तो
Other than this, what do you think is their biggest strength? I think Maxwell definitely up there, gives you overs, can play middle.
If he gives you continued form, I'm sorry, but like let's not pretend like Maxwell is a short bet.
Maxwell का तो अभी भी देखना, वो मतलब recently भी अच्छा ही खेल रहा है, उसका कोई सीन नहीं है. He's back to he had some issues, more mental than anything, and I think he's managed to overcome them because we all know the skill is there.
Yeah.
And since the last IPL, since a little before that, now he's won the World Cup with Australia. He's in a good space of mind. So I think he is one of their best players, all rounder. Can bowl in the power play, can bowl in the middle overs, can do everything. Great fielder, very good bat, runs देगा, finish करेगा. So वो है. और I think a very similar player is Vanindu Hasaranga. Not yet as proven as Maxwell is, but I think the potential is there. Maybe not this year, but definitely one for the future.
As Jared Kimber once said to Hasaranga's agent, this boy is going to make you a lot of money someday.
Yeah.
So one can only hope. Any closing thoughts on RCB? I don't want to spend too much time because, like I said, 9 more teams to go.
Their season could get really wrecked apart if Kohli and Faf end up batting together in the middle overs. If Kohli and Faf are batting together, and it is they have to try something radical this season, and even a lot of people may not agree with it, but Kohli has to come to bat after the 10 over mark. He cannot be coming into bat before the 10 over mark. 12th, 13th over mark pe batting karne aaye, takes an over or two and then goes after pace, because though he's been struggling against Spain, it's versus pace he's being very, very explosive. And even last season when he was opening the batting for RCB, he was starting fast. 140-150 ka strike rate rehta tha power play mein, but then he would just
slow down,
find himself stuck because he couldn't attack spin. So I think the way for them to go has to be Faf opening and Kohli in the next 10 overs.
Yeah.
But if they are opening with Faf and Kohli, then that's pretty much the first step towards committing harakiri.
Just one closing I wanted to ask you all. Harshal Patel का इतना पैसा क्या लग रहा है, सही है?
नहीं है, वो लोग के पास स्पिनर, तो स्पिनर चाहिए था, वो लोग को ले लिया हर्षल पटेल.
पर इतना महंगा?
It was a joke, guys. Obviously, Harshal Patel is a seam bowler, but वो इतना मतलब
वही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ.
डालता है वो.
नहीं, but I'm just saying, it doesn't make any sense to you because मेरे को I'm having a hard time justifying this. क्या तुम लोग को क्या लग रहा है?
See, one is that there is a dearth of Indian all-rounders. Harshal Patel, domestic cricket, may also opens the batting for Haryana. So he's someone whose batting ability has been underutilized massively in the IPL, even when he was playing for Delhi in 2018. So and 2019. So his batting is not utilized well. So maybe this time they also plan to use that and have more batting depth till 9. And वही है मतलब if Harshal Patel is expensive, then Deepak Chahar 14 crores also doesn't make a lot of sense. Neither does Shardul at 10.7. But it basically
No man,
just
Shardul has X factor man. There is something about Shardul. वो कुछ तो कर देता है dude. वो कैसा विकेट लेता है यार, क्या बात कर रहा है?
नहीं तो वो see again Shardul defies a lot of cricketing logic, to be very honest. But that can happen till a time. It might happen for one season, it might happen for 2 seasons, but third season onwards, it is going to it is going to come. It is going to start agreeing to cricketing logic. So wo hai, it's just the fact like even Prasidh Krishna has gone for 10 CR. It's just the fact that because there aren't enough Indian options, so franchisees in a bid to get that player end up overspending.
Remember,
And
at one point, Unadkat also went for 11 CR.
You
yeah,
know, I just hope that all of these people invest in SIPs and make a lot of savings when they do make this kind of money.
Do
I
you
wish
have a plug for that?
I wish that's what I was just gonna say. I wish I had like a segue into a product placement here, but we have no sponsors, guys. Just your super chats and comments and likes and all. Speaking of which, hit the like button. It's necessary. Moving on to Calcutta, where I was recently, and let me tell you, if we kept the city and replaced the people, perhaps, but otherwise, also, I don't think much shot that city has of being a city. So when it came to the this thing, I mean, एक तो firstly Andrew Russell को retain कौन करता है और
I think bottom two in terms of the teams this year on paper.
Like you want me to walk you through it? They have let's walk you all through it. Batsmen first always. Sorry. Okay, so we have Abhijit Kumar, we have Pratham Singh, Ramesh Kumar. Obviously, some of these are not going to get a single game. Alex Hales comes in to back up with the batting. They have Ajinks Rahane has been sold, which I was personally quite surprised with, especially considering Raina didn't go. Shreyas Iyer, who seems to be perhaps the new captain, and a man named Rinku Singh, who is also my dad's Malish guy, but not the same guy, but just the same name. I'm just letting you know. We have fun bowlers in the sense of Rashik Salman, Ashok Sharma, Sunil Narayan is obviously retained. The team Saudi is here this year. Does he make that much of a difference to this team in this setup? We'll only find out. Umesh Yadav, who I'm glad has been sold, has gone to Kolkata. लास्ट बचे अपने विकेट कीपर तो शेल्डन जैक्सन है, सैम बिलिंग्स है और ये है बाबा इंद्रजीत है, who I feel just by virtue
शिवम मावी का नाम नहीं लिया.
Oh shit, शिवम मावी ने लिया, sorry my bad. शिवम मावी ये तो ऑलराउंडर है वैसे, he is listed as an all-rounder. पर उसमें भी have अनुकूल रॉय, शिवम मावी, वरुण चक्रवर्ती. Where did the thing go? Where did the
there's also Nitish Rana.
हाँ, Nitish Rana, Pat Cummins भी है this year, which I'm most excited about Pat Cummins coming back. I feel like that is a perfect place for him to be. It always felt like Kolkata के bowler में इतना मजा नहीं आता था, and then Pat Cummins comes and it's just like he's handsome also and he takes wickets also, and I think any team buying Pat Cummins makes me very happy. I just like watching him bowl. After Dale Steyn, no, I feel like his neck muscles are the best. It's true. You should see him on the run-up.
His muscles are also nice.
So there was a line by वो test वाली documentary on Amazon Prime. There's a line by Tim Payne when they're talking about Patrick Cummins. So he calls him Sir Golf because he was doing an ad for Gillette. This line is the best a man can get. So he says that he's anyway Sir Garfield Cummings because it is the best a man can get. Look at him; he hardly sweats even when he's bowling. Sometimes even I feel that I don't know what is better about Pat Cummins. Is it his bowling in test matches or is it his looks in test matches? Because to run in and bowl all those overs and not a single strand of hair you feel कि मतलब कहीं हिला है या कुछ हुआ है. It's just like he's come dressed completely about to go to a party. He's definitely I think if not the best, then one of the top few sports persons in cricket right now who are very good looking.
That's true. The only time I've seen Pat Cummins even only mildly harrowed was at the Gabba. And even then, he got Pujara out with that beautiful delivery. And he got like a few wickets after that also. But when this is India versus Australia, the famous Toota Hai Gaba Ka Government. But coming to KKR, issues
Shreyas
I
Iyer,
see
Shreyas Iyer officially
officially,
captain. Yeah,
I don't
apparently.
think so. कौन
That's
कोई
what
भी
the
बोलेगा
chat
तो
is.
बता देगा.
Chat claims.
They have announced today.
हो गया.
KKR have announced.
सही.
That was given.
Yeah.
मतलब जितने पैसे उस पे खर्च करे थे. But yeah, I mean, KKR have really messed it up in this auction.
I agree.
बहुत ही कचरा.
Apart from their spin bowling, which is the best in the tournament with Sunil Narayan and Chakravarti, and you could say to some extent power play bowling. There is not much to take home about because I think they lost the plot when they bid 12 crores plus for Shreyas and 8 crores for Nitish Rana. While these two players are very good hitters of spin bowling, when it comes to facing pace, they struggle. Someone like Nitish Rana really struggles a lot. So, and the problem is that they might have bought Alex Hales, but they might be forced to drop him and play Sam Billings at 5. Because the way they were celebrating when they got Ajinkya Rahane sort of gave me a hint that Rahane might open.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a top 4 of Rahane, Venkatesh Iyer, Nitish Rana or Shreyas Iyer at 3 or Nitish Rana at 4, that's not ideal because you have two people who can potentially end up anchoring the innings. And, in your top, if you also include someone like Andre Russell, your best bet against back of the length pace bowling is Ajinkya Rahane. And that is not ideal at all. The bigger problem over here is that in their potential 11, there are 3 people who have massive injury concerns. Their biggest hope as of now for death bowling is Andre Russell, and who's also their finisher. So over-reliance on one player in one discipline anyway is not ideal. Over-reliance in 2 disciplines is less ideal, and it becomes a recipe for complete disaster when that is on a player like Andre Russell, who rarely lasts a full season or has some injury concern or the other. So I don't even know whether somewhere even KKR is responsible for his injury concerns, because the most silly part that I have found about KKR in the last 2 seasons is कि अगर उसको injury होती है, you know how injury prone he is. Why do you field him at the boundary? Why can't he field inside the circle? तुम उसके बाद उसको fielding भी boundary पे कराओगे. You will ask him to come and bowl at the death. You want him to finish the games. On a player who has a shoulder problem, who has bad knees. So I mean, their strategy was all over the place. I also didn't understand why they would pay someone like Shivam Mavi 7+ crores. They genuinely messed up a lot of things for them. And even when they had only 20 crores left and no death bowling, right? They were still going after someone like Nicholas Puran. So it was making no sense at all what they were trying to do. And they got Tim Saudi. Now, Tim Saudi did well in Sharjah on pitches where the ball was coming the next day after bouncing. So wahan par you can get Chakravarti to bowl at the death. You can get your cutters in. But if the IPL is most likely going to happen in Maharashtra, in Wankhede, Brabon, and Pune, over there, this death bowling is like pray to God and hope for the best. It's literally that. So I won't be surprised if KKR finish bottom 3 this time.
I agree. Death bowling is one of the biggest issues I also thought of, and Team Saudi bowling at the death. We've seen his record with super overs and this and that, so it's not great. And you can't expect Pat Cummins to be bowling at the death. He is a proper new ball bowler. उसको death में डालोगे तो मतलब कचरा ही हो जाएगा.
Even Umesh Yadav
is also a power play bowler.
So you don't have anyone. If you break open the game in the power play, you do. But there are going to be times in the season where Sunil Narayan and Chakravarti will bowl over each at the death, and then it could be Mavi or Russell. Russell if he's playing, if he's not playing, then you don't.
Yeah, I understand why they would put money after Mavi is because Shivam Mavi and Kamlesh Nagarkoti, after their performances in the Under 19 World Cup that India won, were straight drafted into the KKR side that the very same year. And at that time, I think Wasim Akram was still with them, or I'm not sure if he was still with them, but he worked a lot with them. And these are their long term projects. I get why they would back Shivam Mavi. He's got the all round ability and he's a good pace bowler as well. So I understand that, but I really don't understand this Nitish Rana पे इतना पैसा डालना. तुम उसको ओवर भी नहीं देते हो कभी कभी. वो ऑलराउंडर बना के ओवर भी नहीं देते हो. बैटिंग में भी उसको फ्लोटर बना दिया है.
पर शायद वही है ना लॉजिक की ये साल बोला है कि अभी ये साल तू पक्का बॉलिंग करने वाला है, लाइक दैट्स मे बी बिकॉज़ अदरवाइज देयर इज नो वे ऑफ जस्टिफाइंग दैट.
नहीं पर बॉलिंग करेगा कहां, उसको भी डेथ पे थोड़ा ना कराओगे.
एग्जैक्टली. मतलब स्पिनर में वो लोग के पास कितना है, वरुण चक्रवर्ती, सुनील नारायण 8 ओवर डालने वाले हैं ऑलरेडी.
तो ओके लेट्स जस्ट कंप्लीटली जस्ट फॉर अ सेकंड लेट्स जस्ट फ्लैश बैक टू द अंडर 19 वर्ल्ड कप. शैल वी डिड यू सी दोस बॉलिंग स्कोर कार्ड्स? मैच सब लोग एक एक दो ओवर डाल रहे, लौड़ा फर्क नहीं पड़ता उनको, ठीक है. तो मे बी दैट्स द अप्रोच फॉर कोलकाता. एवरी ओवर इज अ डेथ ओवर बिकॉज एवरी ओवर डेथ इज इमिनेंट. तो तुम ज्यादा स्ट्रेस मत लो इनका. लाइक आई एम टेलिंग यू, आई वॉच कोलकाता एज लाइक, देख कोलकाता कौन चलाता है? एक एक्टर चलाता है, उसको एंटरटेन करने का ना. तुम एंटरटेन हो ना, तुम ज्यादा स्ट्रेस मत लो. कोई एक जन तो चाहिए ना ऐसा रैंडमली ऐसा पकड़ने को बीच में फील्ड के. हर हार्लेम शेक में एक जन जमीन पे लेट के माताजी खेलता है अपने आप के साथ. That's what KKR is in all of this. So I wouldn't pay too much heed to what their choices are and why they are what they are. I would just go by the logic that they will most likely not be great.
On that note, we should move to the other team. Before we go, I just want to point out that Owen Morgan has been replaced by Alex Hales.
Yes.
And there could not be anything funnier than that. But yeah, did you have any thought that I interrupted? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like Aditya pointed out very nicely, KKR spent 93% of their purse on 8 players. तो अभी मतलब छोड़ो यार, क्या कर रहे हैं लोग? Okay, Punjab Kings.
Good team. Great auction.
This year. Very strong looking team. Very they obviously they only retained 2 players. This was a team that said कि गांड मरे, मेरे को कोई नहीं चाहिए वापस, मेरे को बस ये 2 जन दे दो, इसके अराउंड में टीम बना लेगा. एंड दे केप्ट अर्शदीप सिंह एंड मयंक अग्रवाल, व्हिच आई थिंक वाज एन एब्सोल्युटली स्प्लेंडेड डिसीजन टू डू. मयंक, आई मीन दे वुड हैव लाइक टू कीप केएल आल्सो आई अज्यूम, बट केएल को बेटर प्रोस्पेक्ट्स मिले और वो अपना झोला लेके किट बैग लेके चल दिया. But Rahul Chahar moving from Mumbai to Punjab, which always makes me sad. He was a great prospect for Mumbai. He bowled very well. Atharva, I don't even know Atharva. I think this is base price pick. Ha, Taide. Is he an under 19 guy? Who is this guy?
So a lot of backup picks of Punjab have been of players who are unknown. मतलब backup to में almost सारे ही they've bought at base because it probably is a result of good scouting or they have trusted their scouting. But their first 11 is something which is something to die for. मतलब, and it's not just, you know, they've got those players by paying good money. The amount that they have paid for Dhawan, Bairstow and Rabada is only 24 crores.
Yeah.
24 crores for those 3 players is something which is brilliant. On the other hand, KKR, if you look at it, spent 20 crores on Rana and Iyer, and then another 7.5 crores on Mavi. So you just do that comparison and you realize how much great Punjab were in this auction. And then they were able to get Liam Livingstone, who is another brilliant pace batter. They've also got Shah Rukh Khan, who was at who's under 9, who was with them, and I think they wanted to retain him, but he didn't want to be retained. So there's that. Then they got a few of their players from the previous squad back. They got Ishan Porel back. Yeah. They got Prabh Singh back. They got Harpreet Brar back. And then they also got Odion Smith. So they have batting depth. They have bowling options. Rahul Chahar, you've already mentioned. So very, very likely that their 5 bowling options could be Rabada, Arshdeep, Harpreet Brar, who's a left-arm spinner, Odion Smith, who's another bowler who hits the death, and then Rahul Chahar. So again, all kinds of bowlings covered. Death may.
Who did you say at the death?
The death would be Rabada and Arshdeep.
Arshdeep, yes, but Ravana ka death bowling numbers are not the greatest. Like
Rabada's
economy is way
Rabada's not
9.5
been
10 पे economy है उसका.
Rabada's not been great in the last 1.5 season, but if you go back and compare him to what they had
I mean,
Shami.
the wicket, he was almost a guaranteed wicket a match bowler for a very long time.
Wicket a match, yes, but his economy and the death is close to 9.5, and his average is some 40 or something.
Which played a part in him not getting that over Sam Curran in that qualifier. So he's not been great, but he's still better than what many have. I mean, it's a massive upgrade over Mohammad Shami. So Rabada may not be the banker who he was in 2019, but ठीक है तीन मैच में एक मैच में तो अच्छी डाल ही देगा. So that he'll give, and they have an express pace backup in Nathan Ellis for Rabada. So Nathan Ellis again may not have the experience, but he has the pace. In fact, he clicks 150 plus. So wo bhi hai. And they also have another very interesting bowler who's Benny Howell.
Yes.
Benny Howell is someone who a lot of analysts rate a lot. There's someone like Jared who's absolutely crazy about him.
Exactly.
He supposedly has 50 kinds of slower balls, and he's a cricketer who's born in France, and he's probably the only cricketer who's played cricket at the highest level despite having ADHD. So he's quite the story, and genuinely quite excited to see him because ऐसा देखने को मिलता नहीं है. A French born cricketer who's
और वो भी उसको क्रिकेट में इंटरेस्ट तब आया जब उसने यूएस में मैच देखा. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो मतलब तो लाइक बहुत ही लाइक रैंडम जिंदगी रहा उसका.
So he's traveled a lot, and I mean उनका जो so they had Dan Weston Punjab in the auction who's been another consultant / analyst for two other teams. One is Birmingham Phoenix, I think in the 100, and there's another team in the Bangladesh Premier League. वो जहाँ गया है, he's made sure that he's picked Benny Howell. So Benny Howell is someone who could quite be the story of the IPL this time if he does well, and provided he gets games. I'm not sure abhi how much will he play because Bairstow, Livingston, and Rabada will play for sure. The fourth is something that might change.
I think it might be between Odion and Benny Howell.
Yeah, that's my feeling.
And their backup keeper is Prabhsimran Singh. So that's a little bit. If Bairstow gets injured, Bairstow will probably not play the complete season this year because he'll get called up to the England Test squad. So keeping is a little bit of an issue as far as I see. Prabhsimran Singh, I'm not saying
has played for them before, and
yes.
I think the only issue they have one batsman who they still have to figure out in the 11. Now that batsman could be someone like Rishi Dhawan, or it could be the man of the match of the under-19 final, Raj Angad Baba, or it could be Prabhsimran. Now I am never in favor of playing an under-19 kid straight away because there's not a level, but there are probably two levels of difference between under-19 and IPL.
Yeah.
But problem is they don't have a left-hander apart from Dhawan. The next left-hander is Harpreet Brar. So they might play Raj Angad Baba in that case. But ideally they can play Prabhsimran Singh at 3, Bairstow at 4, Livingston 5, number 6 Shah Rukh Khan, number 7 Odion Smith, number 8 Harpreet Brar, and they are good to go with Rabada at 9. Rabada can hit big if required. So this time they have the batting depth as well. So Prabhsimran Singh also has done well. Last 2 seasons in Syed Mushtaq Ali, Vijay Hazare Trophy, he's done quite well. And his partner is Abhishek Sharma, who also will open this time. And I'm very happy that he will be opening for SRH.
I am also excited about Rishi Dhawan being in Punjab. Like finally I feel like he's become a feature of the team after the domestic season he's had right now. And that will be good to see some domestic talent doing well in the IPL. I hope he does.
He started his career at Punjab, and then he shifted to Mumbai, where he had few good knocks, few good cameos, and then he was nowhere to be seen. He also played for India. I don't know how many.
What?
He did. Yeah. After his IPL performances, as has been the case for the past several years, he got a couple games for it. Yeah.
So there was the series in Australia where everybody played. That's probably one phase of Indian cricket where I've seen under MS Dhoni where just to play all-rounders, almost anyone and everyone was getting a game.
Oh, yeah. This is before the 19 wala World Cup wala series, no?
No, this is after the 2015 World Cup. Before the 2015 World Cup, they were playing Stuart Binney and these guys. Stuart Binney, Akshar Patel came.
Yeah.
Didn't get games. After the 2015 World Cup, they had a series in Australia where Manish Pandey scored that 100, ODI 100. So they played Rishi Dhawan, they played Gurkirat Man Singh, who was a part of RCB and
2016, yeah.
So सब खेले थे वो series. That was also the time when Bumrah and Hardik came into the team. So they stayed. बाकी सबकी छुट्टी हो गई. So that phase was very interesting. Where everybody who could bowl and bat a bit was getting a chance. Yeah, that they were so desperate to get an all-rounder. So Rishi Dhawan probably rejuvenates himself.
I hope
so. All right, 3 down, 7 to go, guys. Moving on to the team that let Warner go and retained Williamson. So I personally don't think that's such a bad deal for them. But hey,
a horrible deal.
It's fucking Hyderabad.
They let go of Rashid.
They let go of Rashid. I don't think they had much
they
of a choice.
I don't think they had an option.
They didn't have a choice.
I mean, they had a choice. They could have kept Rashid as the number 1 spot.
No. I think Rashid ने उनको पहले ही बोल दिया retention के पहले कि देख लो खबरदार मेरे को रखा है तो मेरे को नहीं खेलना चाहिए.
नहीं ऐसा नहीं है. उसको कुछ चाहिए था वो लोग उसको नहीं दे रहे थे. हाँ वो निकाल दिया.
So anyway, I think the good thing about they have the same problems which they had in the last 3-4 years. They don't have a great overseas pacer. They don't have Indian batsmen. And they don't have an Indian wicketkeeper. They have one Indian wicketkeeper, but he's not. Vishnu Vinod.
Ah, okay. Otherwise, it's between Puran and Ben Phillips.
Yeah, so
most likely.
The biggest problem with SRH is that they have 4 to 5 players who've not played much in the last year. Williamson elbow injury keeps happening. Bhuvneshwar has not been the same player since 2020. Yeah. Natarajan since Gabba. Now hear me out. Since Gabba in the last 1 year, Natarajan has only bowled 32 overs.
Yeah, I know, man. उसको यार पर उसका choice उसका गलती नहीं है यार. उसको इंजरी हो गया फिर उसको कोविड हो गया. ऐसा भी नहीं है कि मतलब वो टाइम पास वेकेशन पे गया था यार.
नहीं वेकेशन पे नहीं गया. What I'm trying to say is कि injury concerns. And then Kartik Tyagi has also had his injury issues with Rajasthan Royals. Umran Malik before he played, Umran Malik hadn't played any first class game also before he played that game for SRH. So again, someone who's not very robust. So potentially 4 to 5 players in that squad, and 4 of them who are going to be in that 11 are injury concerns. But they have massive injury issues. So that is the biggest concern with them.
Even Washington Sundar, like the guy cannot.
Washington Sundar, वो भी मैं भूल गया. So he's also been having a lot of injuries. So
अब भी फिट हुआ था वापस इंजर हो गया मतलब 2 दिन में.
The biggest problem that people kept discussing with SRH was that they didn't have Indian batsmen. Now they don't have an Indian batsman in their squad who's played a game for India. Their biggest Indian batsman is Rahul Tripathi, and he's not played a game for India. And then there's Abhishek Sharma.
Let's hold that thought. Rahul Tripathi not having played a game for India, I think, is a travesty. He should have gotten some games for India. If like तूने अभी बोला 2016 में किसको खिलाया है तो Rahul Tripathi should have got a game for India.
Ideally Rahul Tripathi should have been playing when there was a time when India were playing 5 anchors in T20 with Shreyas Iyer at 4, Manish Pandey at 5, with Pant and these guys not even come into the picture. That is when Rahul Tripathi should have ideally played.
Yeah.
The problem is Rahul Tripathi ended up in a franchise where he was not getting games. Even before KKR, he was in Rajasthan Royals. And Rajasthan Royals wouldn't play him because Ajinkya Rahane wanted to bat at the top of the order. So did Steve Smith. And there was Joss Butler as well. So kahan batting karta wo bichara. So he was on the sideline. So the good thing with SRH is that they have options. Abhishek Sharma, Rahul Tripathi, Williamson, Puran and Makram. Quite dynamic top 5. Options hai kafi. And then at 6 you have Samad who also has shown potential. 7 they will most likely play Romario Shepherd, who's a big hitter and a bowler. So this time they have batting depth, which is something that they didn't have. And
Priyam Garg in your first 11?
No, I wouldn't have him. किसकी जगह खिलाओगे? And
वो भी
again,
है, हाँ.
if you have Kane Williamson, who's the world's best anchor as of this moment, it doesn't make sense to play another anchor.
Yeah.
At number 8, you will have Sundar, and then you will have three bowlers in Bhuvneshwar, Natarajan, and then one of Kartik Tyagi and Umran Malik. So, batting options hai, but there's like with Williamson's injury and with Puran not being the kind, because obviously in 2020 people didn't know much about him. When people start to know about him, they start working on your weaknesses.
Yeah.
They still lack a Indian batsman who can be a star, right? So that is a problem, and they've also decided that Williamson will open. So again, that means that Rahul Tripathi फिर दोबारा float करेगा या कहीं जाएगा, which is another.
This is the stupidest thing.
Yeah.
People have experimented with Dhaval Tripathi not opening and have suffered. Look at RR, look at KKR. Once they pushed him up to the top of the order, he had such a fantastic season. I did not put him in my fantasy team till he started opening. As soon as he started opening, he was in my fantasy team and a regular point scorer also.
KKR batted him below Pat Cummins at number 8. I was so happy. I was so happy that Rahul Tripathi got 8.5 crores because mostly Indian batsmen score runs. You look at KL Rahul, you look at Manish Pandey, ये सब anchoring करते हैं. So they're like, okay, we had a 500 run season, but the impact was missing. This guy never knew where he's going to bat, and whenever he came out to bat, he had the intent that I will score runs, and that is what he did for every franchise that he's played, right from doing well for Pune in 2017 to even last 2 seasons rather for KKR. So in fact, it was stupid of KKR to spend that much money on Nitish Rana and not on Rahul Tripathi. Should have clearly saved that money and looked to get Rahul Tripathi. So
बट फिर वो जो राहुल त्रिपाठी को नहीं बोल करने का जो मजा है वो नहीं आ पाएगा ना. नीतीश राणा को नहीं बोल करने का मजा है कि अरे दे क्या नहीं अच्छा रन बोल ले लो, ऐसा वो फीलिंग कैसे आता.
Okay, let's move.
From Priyam Gar's team, let's move on to the.
I think before we move, SRH have great options, all-rounder options in Aiden Markram and Marco Jansen. I am very excited to see how those two get along. Marco Jansen may not get as many games, but Aiden Markram will, and
there's also Sean Abbott. Yes, Jansen and Abbott will remain backups, but again, the biggest issue is that SRH was never a great team on paper. They were able to, punch above the weight because of two people, Warner and the other was Rashid.
Yep.
Forget Rashid. They don't have a leg spinner now.
Shreyas Gopal hai na?
Shreyas Gopal in the last 3 years has bowled more googlies than leg spin. So, and he's not going to start in the 11. Yeah. So they don't have a bowler who can break open the games for them. Bhuvneshwar Kumar is not the same bowler. You could see it today also. So options on paper covered. Match khatam, jeet gaye. So although there are options on paper and they cover most things, but again, death bowling may be thoda issue hai. There is no one bowler who you can throw the ball to him and he like, okay, give me wicket. Jaise Delhi have Nokia, Mumbai have Bumrah, KKR to some extent have Cummins. This guy Lucknow will have Avesh and these guys would. SRH don't have a single such bowler.
Let's hope. Personally, I don't have a good feeling about this. I just feel like that whole Warner was like a Wolverine. He could do it. I feel like everybody else just lacks that. Everyone is a little dhila comparatively. Moving on from Priyam Gar's team, let's go to Riyan Parag, who I used to confuse for Priyam Gar for the longest time. In fact, until the auction itself, where I thought कि Priyam Gar ने numerology को ज़्यादा ही seriously ले लिया और अपना नाम Riyan Parag कर दिया. Rajasthan Royals looked. I personally felt like, chalo, interesting. Let's see what happens. Rajasthan has this habit of picking up players that used to do really well for Mumbai. And so they have bought Nether Content line in addition to Josh Patel. You know how it is. अभी Trent Bolt भी ले लिया.
Jimmy Neesham as well.
Jimmy Neesham भी ले लिया. मतलब वो लोग एक कदम पीछे चलते हैं मुंबई का. It's like you know how in F1 कभी-कभी Mercedes का पुरानी गाड़ी दूसरा कोई यूज करता है. वो वाला हिसाब है. So Rajasthan Royals, guys, thoughts, feelings, emotions. Dhaval, we'll go with you first.
I think they've got Padikkal and Jaiswal who are more or less the same kind of batter, so I'm not too happy with that. But great spinning spin bowlers, Ashwin, Chahal, both of them. They might have some issues with death bowling, the way I see it, because you don't want either of Navdeep Saini or Prasidh Krishna bowling at the death, and they are the two Indian pace bowlers, so they're most likely going to play all games. And yeah, other than that, they have a strong squad, great finishers in their 11 with Hetmeyer there, with Riyan Parag there, Daryl Mitchell also. I think Daryl Mitchell is their most exciting player. Unfortunately, because of team combination, he may or may not play as many games as I would like to see him play. And Josh Butler, देखो है, बट कितना गेम खेलेगा वो नहीं पता, और वो लोग का दूसरा बैकअप कीपर कौन है मेरे को नहीं समझ में आ रहा.
करुण नायर.
करुण नायर की बात नहीं.
अरे भाई, करुण नायर का लाइफ का स्टेज तेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. करुण नायर ना एट दिस पॉइंट कुछ भी करेगा, वो कमेंट्री भी करने को तैयार है, ठीक है, उसका लाइफ नहीं गया एज प्लान्ड.
They have Sanju Samson who can play.
No, here's just very quickly before we get to your answer, Gil, I just wanted to ask you this. कैप्टन कौन है इस टीम में और क्यों?
Sanju Samson is the captain. They've announced.
नहीं, वो समझ में आया मेरे को, पर मैं अश्विन खरीदा, मतलब मैं बस, you know what I'm trying to say, like there is clearly a person who should be the captain of this team who you just bought, and why is he not the captain of this team? Are you afraid of losing him in 2 years? What's happening?
No, I think with regards to what happens in the IPL now is ki you have coaches and think tanks who more or less want a captain who values their input more than using his own intelligence, etc. And which was another reason why I felt Ashwin will not be made the captain for Delhi last season when Shreyas was not there, when I actually wanted him to be the captain. I genuinely feel that apart from MS Dhoni, if there's another player who can actually add value as a captain, come up with strategies, etc., is Ashwin.
Yeah.
And he started off well with Punjab, but Punjab have a problem ki once they start losing, they just start losing all conviction in their ideas.
I think the scientific term is उनका gun फट जाता है, और and then they just scramble. But yeah.
So, but with RR, I think the good thing is ki in Butler, Jaiswal, Hetmeyer and Samson, they have 4 batsmen who complement each other not only with left hand and right hand, but in terms of skill also. Samson's very good against pace, struggles against leg spin. That is where someone like Hetmeyer can come in. And the problem is that they will have to play particle anyway, because you will play Hetmeyer, you will play Butler, you will play Bolt, and then they don't have an Indian all-rounder, and then they don't have a Indian batter at 5 or 6. So they will have to.
Riyan Parag is there, no? He can bat 5 or 6.
So you still need one more. So they will play Particle at 3, Samson at 4, and Hetmeyer at 5 with Parag at 6. And then you have the all-rounder. Again, they don't have an Indian all-rounder, so it would either be Coulter-Nile or either be Neesham. I think
Mitchell also, Daryl Mitchell can play at that spot, 7th.
But Daryl Mitchell doesn't bat 7. So he's a misfit there. So it would either be Neesham or Coulter-Nile. The problem with them is ki because they're Indian buys, again, their Indian batting, they only have Samson. There is no, they have names. The problem is because they don't have Indian batters who could bat at 5, 6 or 7, they have to play an all-rounder. They don't even have an Indian all-rounder. This means ki they can't play their best buy of the auction, who's Rassi van der Dusen.
Yeah.
They've bought him at base, which is a steal.
Yeah.
At 1 crore, he's a steal.
Absolutely.
He's so good against pace bowling that he can actually even replace Hetmeyer. But the problem will then, what happen is then you will have 4, 5, 6, all of them who are right-handers. So that is an issue. But Rassi van der Dusen is such a good player. But it might happen that he may not get games for Rajasthan Royals, because when you also buy a player at such a price, they bought Hetmeyer for 8+ crores, I think 8.75. Then you get into the cost sunk fallacy wala logic. कि अच्छा ये player पे तो अगर ये नहीं भी perform कर रहा, I'll keep investing in him because I've paid so much for him. It's like in that business ना कि एक business आपको पता है loss कमा रहा है, पर आप इतना पैसा उसमें डाल चुके हो कि आप उसको बंद नहीं कर सकते, तो आप उसमें और पैसा डालते हो. तो वो वाला And it has happened in the IPL with a lot of teams. It has happened with
Oh,
KKR with regards
I
to
felt like you kept saying Glenn Maxwell over and over again.
yeah,
Like some,
and Pat Cummins also in his first season.
yeah.
So it has happened with teams, and that is a problem with them. And like you said, the death bowling Bolt, even with Mumbai, he was going at 11 runs per over at the death. Uh,
Yeah.
then there is Prasidh Krishna and Navdeep Saini. Navdeep Saini, I don't think will make the first 11 because you will play Ashwin and Chahal for sure. So there's a lot of at there. If Bolt is injured, then your best pace bowler is Prasidh Krishna, and that is not ideal.
There
Anyway,
is a certain Obed McCoy
yeah,
who
there
is great at the death, but
struggles for
who
wickets.
could be great at the death, but we don't know. He's an unproven commodity, and if it works out, like this is one of those who does well in the CPL, and you take a punt on him, and you're hoping it works out. I think this is one of those. If it works out, they are sorted with their death bowling,
But
and
anyway,
he'll
they can't play both him and Bolt
yeah,
because the
exactly.
structure is such.
I
So
know they might have to sacrifice Coulter and forget it, like take a hit on that batting front that Coulter provides, and that'll be what 15 runs a game on average. Something they might be able to win.
Even if Coulter plays, he's batting one spot higher than he should be. He will be batting at 7 because Chahal, Ashwin, and Prasidh Krishna have to play. So these guys will be 8, 9, 10, and Bolt will be 11. So their batting anyway finishes at 7, whether it's Nathan Coulter or Jimmy Neesham. So they don't have batting depth and they don't have bowling depth either because in the top 5, no one bowls. Josh Butler doesn't bowl. Yashasvi Jaiswal hardly bowls. Particle doesn't bowl. Samson doesn't bowl. Hitmaya doesn't bowl. And Riyan Parag ki bowling is like, theek hai. If Riyan Parag is coming on to bowl, you know you are having a bad day. So they neither have batting depth, neither do they have bowling depth because they haven't bought all rounders. Their only all rounder is Jimmy Neesham. So
And
that
I before we had the discussion, I thought RR had a good option, but after we had this discussion, I don't think so. They have some good players, but I don't think they have good options. Okay, let's move. We're going to go to the two new teams before we
Yes.
go to the two champions.
And and Delhi, man, don't forget Delhi. But before that, just
Oh yeah,
quickly,
Delhi.
guys, almost 100 people watching. Like the stream. If you like the stream, more people watch the stream. Therefore, it feels like a community thing. Oh my God, it's the Edges guys in the chat. Good to see you guys, man. It's been a while since we spoken to you, and since we've also done this. But it's nice to see you. Hit the like, guys. It helps us. Okay, two new teams, Lucknow and Gujarat, had an option of talking to some players beforehand and saying, "Hey, आजा मेरी हवेली में दिखाता हूं तुझे गौचारा." And Lucknow chose Ravi Bishnoi, Marcus Stoinis, and KL Rahul. Looking at today's match, my faith in them has a little bit increased in their choices, but only a conversation with Gurkirat will tell me whether I'm right or wrong. What's happening here?
no. So I think Lucknow probably have the second best 11 because see, ek to hota hai you get all rounders, right? Then you have all rounders who offer different things. Now from Hooda, Holder, Stoinis, Krunal, and there was one more guy.
Gautam,
Gautam. Yeah, Gautam.
Kyle Myers.
Yeah, Kyle Myers will be a backup anyway. So from 3 to 8, they have people who can both bat and bowl. They legit have eight bowling options in their 11. It is crazy. And the other bowlers that they have are Bishnoi, Wood, and Avesh, right? And their opening is Quinton de Kock and KL with probably Manish Pandey at 3. What drives me crazy about this entire 11 is that the only uncapped now, even by the time the IPL comes, it will not have a single uncapped player. Before the IPL or at the auction, it was only Bishnoi and Avesh who had not played an international game. Everyone else had. By the time the auction comes, every single player of them that they have is an international player.
Yeah.
So no dearth of experience. That tells you that this team has seen, मतलब इन्होंने घाट घाट का पानी पिया है almost.
Yeah.
तो वो वाली बात होगी, right? And then the only downside that this team might have is Manish Pandey anchoring. मतलब if Manish Pandey,
मैं तो उल्टा बोलने वाला था कि मैं सोच रहा था फाइनली मनीष पांडे को एक अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म मिलेगा एकदम ठोकने को, because he has a proper I mean obviously KL being an anchor opener
I really hope KL does not be an anchor opener, man. कितना वो लोग है वो.
KL has no excuse to anchor this time because Mark Wood can also bat. Outside of Avesh and Bishnoi, everyone can swing their bats in that team. So what I'm trying to say is ki if the need be, so like if one wicket falls early, then you can have Manish. Manish anyway has good numbers in the power play. He can play pace. The downside begins if Manish is staying beyond the 9th or 10th over. मतलब 9th or 10th over के बाद if Manish is struggling, then he should actually hit wicket himself or find a way to get himself out. Because then you have Hooda, who's very good against spin.
Yeah.
You have Stoinis, brilliant against pace. You also have Krunal Pandya, who can hit spin. You have Holder, who's an underrated batter in my opinion. And then you have... So there is no dearth of options. You have a lot of options to play around with. That 11 is as solid as it can be. The problem in the squad is that they don't have a backup for Bishnoi.
They don't have backups in general. They have a very strong first 11, but their backups are not that great.
They have a backup for Mark Wood. Dushman Chamira is a good option.
Yeah.
They have a bowler who was in bewilderness like Avesh Khan. And like Avesh Khan had one good season, usse pehle usko bhi koi nahi janta tha. So they have Ankit Rajput, who was in KKR first, and then he went to Punjab. So I think he's played under Gambhir, if I'm not wrong, who has potential. So they have these options. They also have Evan Lewis, brilliant option. Evan Lewis can most teams. So they have options. I think where they went wrong is they could have probably, instead of buying someone like Kyle Myers, and because they also ended up with 7 overseas players. Instead of that player, they could have bought someone like Sandeep Lamichhane at base price 40 lakhs and covered that thing as well. So if Bishnoi is not injured, we can play Lamichhane as a wrist spinner, drop one of the overseas players, maybe Holder, or because Stoinis they retain, or Quinton de Kock because KL Rahul can keep. Because if Quinton de Kock is dropped, then you can let Manish Pandey open. Then that is not a problem. So that they could have covered, which is something I think probably happened because they had not. This is also surprising because when Gautam Gambhir was in Delhi Daredevils at that point of time in 2018, Sandeep Lamichhane was for the very first time picked in the IPL and he played 5 odd games. So I was surprised why Gautam Gambhir did not go for him, especially at base. So that is one area which they could have covered. But apart from that, I think Lucknow have done a brilliant job in terms of covering the bases. Players perform kare na kare, that you never know. But on paper, they have done a great job.
नहीं डर वही रहता है कि जब 25 अलाउड है और तुम 21 खरीदो तो you have to be damn confident in your picks. It's just that in itself shows कि कुछ तो strategy लगाया. I feel like it's almost reminiscent to me personally of DC in the first season, where on paper they were like the best and then it just somehow failed to work as the season progressed. I mean, not Delhi Capitals. I mean
Deccan Chargers,
the OG DC. Moving on to the Gujarat team, an interesting team in itself. When the last Gujarat team was, remember the last?
Horrible. Gujarat team is horrible.
Time when they had Raina, and remember when you had a hope that the Gujarat team would. I don't know.
This team is so bad.
This team is really messing with me.
कौन है वो लोग का फास्ट बॉलर कौन है?
Vijay Shankar.
Fast bowler options are okay. They have
Alzari Joseph, Lockie Ferguson, Pradeep Sangwan, and Yash Dayal. Yes, Yash Dayal.
There's Shami. So I have no clue why they bought Pradeep Sangwan. I mean, Pradeep Sangwan was a net bowler for Delhi last season. So why would they buy him? I don't know. And Gujarat actually started very well in the auction, buying Lockie Ferguson and buying Shami, because if you have Lockie Ferguson, then you don't need to bowl Shami at that. You bowl in 3 overs in the power play, then some 1 over in between.
Lockie Ferguson का बहुत fitness issues है यार.
वो है, which is why they also have Alzari Joseph, who's another good option.
But who is a new ball bowler?
ठीक है, उतना you have to. Death bowlers वैसे भी in general ज़्यादा नहीं होते.
और death bowlers का वैसे
हार्दिक bowling करता नहीं है. विजय शंकर को खिलाओगे क्या?
विजय Shankar will anyway play in this lineup.
Yeah,
he will have to play.
उसको खिलाना
The
ही
problem-
पड़ेगा.
I tell
That's
you
the
where
problem.
I'll tell you where things started to go wrong for Gujarat when they bid 9 CR for Tewatia. I have absolutely no clue why they did that. Because I'll tell you why.
And they'd already bought Sai Kishore by then, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
They had, so you have the world's best wrist spinner anyway. So you don't need a wrist spinning option that you were desperate for Tewatia. The base that they had to begin with. So their first 5 picks were Shubman Gill, Hardik Pandya, Rashid, Mohammad Shami, and Lockie Ferguson. From there, you shouldn't be idly messing up, right?
Yeah.
But they seem to forgot that they didn't buy a keeper till the 16th pick. So they didn't have a keeper, which was insane. Ki bhai keeper kaise nahi tum pick kar rahe? And they didn't even have a left-handed batsman as well, right? So out of desperation, they had to go for Matthew Wade because I think that maybe that left-handed reason is probably one of the reasons why they paid so much for Tewatia, and then they also picked David Miller.
Yeah.
Now, another very good pick that they had was Jason Roy, but again, and that too at 2 crores, a massive steal.
Yeah.
But how would you fit
But
in?
is he the same? But is he? Yeah. But I mean, is he the same batsman that he was earlier when he was making waves in the scene? Also, I don't think so.
He's a better batsman now.
You think so?
Yes, I'm just having a look at their squad. I think they have only one. They have only one wicket keeping option, right?
Yeah, Matthew
Ah,
Wade.
Saha and Wade.
Yeah. So wait now. That is the problem. They might even play Wade and they might open with so their opening is not clear as of now whether it is Wade and Shubman Gill or whether it's going to be Jason Roy and Shubman Gill. Jason Roy would have been perfect complement for Shubman Gill, but
Yeah.
because keeping option hai nahi, you might even open with Matthew Wade.
And if they're going to play Saha as a keeper, they might as well open with him.
So that they will do. So that is
वो
another.
तो झक मार के करना ही पड़ेगा ना फिर तुम्हें.
That is another conundrum. So Rashid will definitely play. So will
Yeah.
Lockie Ferguson. वो तो दो हो गए. The pick comes between the other two, right? Now, because again they don't have a left-hander. They don't have a great left-hander option. Their only left-handed options are David Miller and then Rahul Tewatia and Matthew Wade, right? And Ravi Sai Kishore. So Ravi Sai, matlab in the top 5, you need a left-hander at least. So either David Miller would play or one of Matthew Wade will play. If Matthew Wade plays, then Jason Roy is not there. So there is, at this point, getting a first 11 which is balanced is going to be difficult for them because they messed up a few things here and there. And there's a very good possibility that this team might have to play Vijay Shankar at 4. Vijay Shankar at 3 or 4. Because
शुरू में ही लग रहा था
Remember what
यार.
happened the last time of the team played Vijay Shankar at 4?
see, I'll tell you the problem. Vijay Shankar को कोई team clarity भी नहीं देती if he has to anchor or if he has to attack. So you have to give him that clarity. And if you play, so because ऐसा नहीं है कि they can't assemble a good team, they can't assemble a good 11. They can, but options are such that they will more or less likely to mess up. They could end up with the top 4 of Jason Roy, Riddhiman Saha, Shubman Gill, and Vijay Shankar. So you have 3 players who could get stuck on the crease and not get
That'll
out.
be the day.
And then have Hardik Pandya at 5. So 5 right-handers straight away. So no problem. But I think the likelihood is that their 5, 6, 7, 8 is going to be somewhat like Hardik Pandya, Ravi Sai Kishore, Rahul Tewatia, and Rashid Khan. ये तो हो गया 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11 would be obviously Mohammad Shami, Lockie Ferguson, and then one bowler could be Yash Dayal, could be Darshan Nalkande. We don't know. It's an option which is open. Or it could even be Varun Aaron. They have Varun Aaron. So that is one Indian bowler option. The problem is top 4. Top 4 में one will be obviously Shubman Gill. One would be Vijay Shankar because आपको Hardik का पता नहीं कि he will bowl or not. So Vijay Shankar has to be. So it eventually comes down to which of the 2 players amongst David Miller, Matthew Wade, and Jason Roy will play. And if Matthew Wade plays, then probably you will play David Miller, because then you don't need to play Riddhiman Saha. So you have more options. You could even have the idea of Hardik at 4 and Miller at 5, right? So
Yeah.
then your team could be Gill opening with Wade, one down would be Vijay Shankar, two down. Yeah, two down could be Hardik or two down could be Miller, or you could even float around the idea of sending Ravi Sai Kishore up the order,
Up
which
front and
Tamil
then
Nadu have done. So that is there. Or you open with Jason Roy and Riddhiman Saha, Shubman Gill at 3, and then have David Miller at 4 to bring in that option and play around with it. But problem is you can't really have Shubman Gill batting out below 3. That is a difficult thing to play
All
around.
right, we're gonna keep it brisk now. हम लोग 1.5 घंटा cross कर रहे हैं, and ideally we like to keep it under an hour and a half. So we're gonna rush through. Yes, Pratik, we do read the chat, but as you can see, there's 10 teams to cover this year, so there's a lot to talk about. Okay, moving on to last year's champions, a team that I both detest and admire. Chennai Super Kings. Interesting to see how much they like the idea of कोई थोड़ा भी ऐसा older होने लगे तो हम खरीद लेंगे उसको. It almost feels like that right now. Okay.
There was a tweet by a CSK fan that the criteria for CSK to buy players is that they are aging, or they have become a dad recently, or they have done well against CSK. These are the three criteria.
Hey, Uthappa went to CSK, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
Went
I
back
feel
to
like
CSK.
looking at this squad, it almost feels like they're spoiled for choice. Do you guys agree? Do you guys?
It's like they have literally reassembled their squad from last year and added a bunch of players to that. And I am very happy with this squad, because even if you're not happy with CSK squad, even if you think they've got the worst squad in the league, they'll come and win the IPL.
Yeah.
They'll just do that. And
Okay, let me say something. So first day auction ka chal raha tha, and I was trying to make sense of what CSK are trying to do, right? And it's been the same story since the last 4 years. I've been trying to make sense of what CSK are trying to do. So out of frustration, I just tweeted. I gave up making sense of what CSK have been trying to do since the auction of 2018. What they do and how they do it, or like what they do and how they do it, is some kind of cricketing black magic, right? Now, I meant it as a compliment, but CSK fans ने मेरे को इतनी गाली दी. What do you mean? And then there were a few others, probably MI fans. So they were like, this black magic is nothing but fixing ये सब होता है and all that. But I honestly tell you, I try and make some sense or the other, and now I've come to the conclusion that I think MS Dhoni thinks he bowling in T20s is probably incidental, because बाहर तो पढ़नी है, so might as well have as many all-rounders as you can have, because there is you look at that team and that the options that they have, right? And ideally, none of a lot of these options are not a perfect fit, right? They have won the league last year without a hit the deck bowler and a leg spinner, while most teams center around it. So it's something which is just hard to explain.
They won the league last year because they properly utilized Moeen Ali.
Yeah, fair.
They
I mean, it's
really
almost like that.
extracted every last inch out of him. And then when he was done, Jadeja appeared.
No, it's almost like a sense of like Dhoni has a sense of तेरे को नहीं चाहिए ये, अच्छा दे मैं दिखाता हूँ ये कैसे खेलता है. And it's constantly a sense of that. That's why I always hoped on some like subconscious level, even when Glenn Maxwell was going through a bad patch, I was like, अगर CSK खरीदेगा ना तो देख कैसा पलटेगा. So it's almost that ability right now.
Chris Jordan has had very bad 2 years.
Yeah.
Very, very bad 2 years, right? And I was just trying to make sense. Why have they even bought him? And they bought him for 3.6 crores, which by CSK standards is a lot of money.
Yeah.
CSK doesn't spend that much on players who've not done well for them, etc. So Chris Jordan they got for 3.6 crores. So someone tweeted that only thing that can fix Jordan's form right now is holy water from MS Dhoni's hand.
No, but I think Chris Jordan is a good buy because he does a very similar role to what Dwayne Bravo does. And Dwayne Bravo is no longer the player that he was 3 or 4 years ago. But when he plays for CSK, he just seems to be that. And I think that death bowling, that middle, and that little bit of batting that Dwayne Bravo gives, Chris Jordan can also give as good a fielder. And according to me, they're quite similar. They also have Pretorius in a slightly similar role. So they've got three options because I personally think that Bravo ka matlab 4 at time.
Bravo also got injured in the 2020 season. He missed a few games in 2021.
Yeah.
See, last season they were batting till 10 because Hazelwood was 11. This time Hazelwood is not there, so Adam Milne would replace him.
Yeah.
So now they are batting till 11. It's crazy. So, but
Simarjeet Singh is there. I think he's going to get games for this.
Sorry?
Simarjeet Singh might get some games for CSK this time.
He might. You never know. But see, I personally feel there are holes in the bowling lineup of CSK. Like they do have Deepak Chahar to bowl in the power play, but the ball doesn't really swing a lot.
यार तुम क्या बॉलिंग पावर की बात कर रहे हो? पीछे धोनी बैठे है यार, वो एक्स्ट्रा सुपर कंप्यूटर बैठा है यार हर बॉलर के लिए. तू कुछ भी बोल रहा है यार.
तभी तो मैंने बोला कि it's cricketing black magic because see, first half I'm sure that Deepak Chahar will do well in the first half of the IPL, but second half when pitches get slower, he may not. And then there is Ravindra Jadeja, Moeen Ali. See, if they were alone in one team, if they were just playing as spinners, you would not feel very keen. But to get 4 overs out of them is another skill which only MS Dhoni has been able to do successfully. And then Bravo, like Dhaval mentioned, I don't know how at 39 he's still able to get those 4 overs, etc. So I have, in the last 4 years, whenever I have seen CSK play, outside of the 2018 season where they had Lungi and Giri who was bowling 140 plus, I never rated their bowling. I still don't. But
I think a lot of it earlier also before the 2018 season was centered around the idea, and Dhoni I think spoke about this also. इसलिए आधा मैच तो चेन्नई में जीतने का, चेन्नई का pitch slow है. Don't worry about somebody who can hit the deck. You just have to win those home games, and the rest kind of falls into place. So I feel like that fundamental shift has also happened, and I think what was most amazing was watching them fucking just in like ऐसा एक सीजन खराब गया और फिर ऐसा बैठ गया सब कुछ. So I'm very excited because even if this is just in Maharashtra, this is a lineup जो तोड़ सकता है.
नहीं तो, but again I also didn't like Shivam Dube. So that, and there was this joke by someone and I really enjoyed it, and I like, of course CSK had to buy Shivam Dube, or else who else is going to who else is going to do an advertisement for India Cements? Shivam Dube doesn't move his feet. So again, Shivam Dube is a very good hitter of spin bowling, but against pace he struggles. I think the only reason why CSK bought him is because he did well against them in that game where Yashasvi Jaiswal smacked Hazelwood and these guys all over the park. But the problem is that in that game, Chennai also bowled a lot of filth at him, and they bowled full tosses in his slot, etc., and whatnot. So they do have hitters and they do have batting depth, but it's a team which on paper never gives me any confidence. I'll be very honest. But again, it's also a team which I know will make me eat my words after every IPL season. So it's a team which I have given up on analyzing because they don't follow any cricketing logic. It is black magic. I don't know. It is that.
Okay, quickly taking a chat. Pratyush is saying Pretorius for Sam Curran. Sam Curran को जाके भी 2 सीजन हो गया है.
नहीं पिछले सीजन था. He got injured.
Sorry.
But ये season England players मतलब ज़्यादातर ये वो. I think the thing with CSK is they may not start well in any game, but they have some wonderful finishers with the bat and the ball. तो वो लोग का वो ही है, innings चालू जैसे भी कर लो, they will finish it on the way, like the way they want to. Like they have Jadeja to finish batting, they have Chahar to finish batting. I know I'm saying this, but Deepak Chahar can be a great finisher. We are seeing this constantly. And if people are still denying it, they need a reality check because the guy's got a lot of talent.
Talking to Kiran More sir also, that was the first thing he pointed out, right? कि like वो domestic में तो कितने सालों से मार रहा है, तुम लोग देख रहे हो, इसलिए तुम्हें surprise लग रहा है.
Exactly.
Okay, last two guys, last two teams. Our favorite teams are left for last because we can we will be excited about them. But unfortunately, I thought wrong because now we have the least amount of time. But anyway, Delhi and Mumbai left. We'll go with Delhi first because Gujarat is here, and then we'll do Mumbai because we can do it at ease and unpackage. Delhi, Prithvi Shaw, Andre Nokia, Akshar Patel, and Rishabh Pant retained, and then after that, it is just this very colorful, eclectic mix of people. I want to start off with Gilan. I want to start off with Kuldeep Yadav. ये क्या है? क्यों है? अभी क्या? Do you really feel like are we beating a dead horse with the Kuldeep Yadav story, or is this a resurgence?
See, Kuldeep Yadav has age on his side. Matlab, it's not that I think he's 26. He played the 2014 Under-19 World Cup.
Yeah.
So you can add 8 years. He's still 26, 27. Age fraud का भी अगर 1-1.5 साल और जोड़ लो तो भी he's not 29 or 30.
Apparently वो बहुत कम होता है आजकल, but still. Anyway, हाँ.
By default, I make it a point that all cricketers, especially in Asia, are at least 1 year older, if not more.
That's amazing. Finally, somebody who agrees with us. But yes,
Yeah.
It is impossible that there is no age fraud.
Fair.
Impossible. So let's not even go there. So yeah, with Kuldeep Yadav, what I am concerned about is that in last 1.5 years, he's done nothing to give me any confidence. Right? He's looked to increase his pace, but whenever he's looked to increase his pace, he's lost control. So that is there. I personally think that Delhi don't have a second spinner, good enough second spinner, because they had Mishra and Ashwin for support towards Akshar with Praveen Dubey and Lalit Yadav. So abhi kya hai ki there is no Mishra, there is no Ashwin. And the bowling trio of Rabada, Avesh and Nokia was probably the best that the IPL has ever seen. So now they have Nokia, and then there is maybe Shardul, maybe Khalil, or maybe so all these guys are Delhi don't have a second pacer. Whatever.
No, they've got Norkia, Lungi, and Fizz as their foreign pacers. Two of them will play.
Ngidi, no, they won't be able to play them. Ngidi is not the same bowler that he used to be for CSK in 2018. Fizz, you would ideally like to start with him, but because Delhi don't have Indian batsmen who can bat at 5 or 6 and finish at 6 at 7, they will have to play Rovman Powell at
there is a certain Lalit Yadav in their team who just goes under the radar all the time.
I am coming to
just वो भी just comment किया कि Jared Campbell is also very heavy on Lalit Yadav playing your second spinner. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I was coming to that. So I think also if you look at Delhi, where they suffered in the last 3 seasons was having no batting depth. So they might even play Rovman Powell at 6, Lalit Yadav at 7, Shardul Thakur at 8 with Akshar Patel at 9. मतलब पहले जो Akshar Patel 7 पे होता था, he might come at 9 because you want to add batting. And Lalit Yadav can complement. See, ideally, you will get 4 overs out of Akshar, 4 overs out of Nokia, and then 4 overs of Shardul, ideally, and then 4 overs of whether it is Khalil, Nagarkoti, or Sakaria or Kuldeep, whosoever. Right? Ideally, Khalil for me because Khalil has pace. So इनसे 16 ओवर तुम्हारे निकल गए.
But Sakaria has control and can take wickets.
Yeah. So the remaining 4 overs for me are going to come out of Lalit Yadav, Rovman Powell, and maybe 1 over from Mitchell Marsh. So for me, the thing is ki the problem lies if Delhi start with Mitchell Marsh at 3, Pant at 4, and Powell at 5, because 6, 7, 8 then becomes again. These guys can swing, but can they swing against hard lengths? I'm not sure. I don't think it is possible. So I would ideally bring Mitchell Marsh at 5, Rovman Powell at 6. Mitchell Marsh at 5 will do the same role that Stoinis was doing. Rovman Powell will do the role which Hetmyer was doing. At number 3, you can have either a Sarfaraz, either a KS Bharat, or a Mandeep Singh. Because for these players to do well at number 3 is easier than doing well at number 5 or number 6. It's difficult. And Sarfaraz was at a point of time a player who also another player who had age fudging issues. He was dropped, etc., I think from the Mumbai team. Sarfaraz at one point of time was retained ahead of Chris Gayle, KL Rahul, Yuzvendra Chahal in the 2018 auctions. So Sarfaraz has also, when he had just come onto the scene, he had also burst well on the scene quite well. And as of now, he averages 67 in first class cricket. So there's a lot of batting skill in him. So you can have Sarfaraz at 3, या KS Bharat, जिसको जो भी आपको सही लगे. My feeling is that they might start with KS Bharat because of what happened in the last season, and Pontic may not have seen that much of Sarfaraz. The good thing is कि Sarfaraz was Pant's teammate in under 19 in the 2016 World Cup. So Pant maybe can bring in some influence and tell him कि you might start as well with Sarfaraz. So ये रहेगी मेरी lineup with Warner and Shaw opening. Number 3 would be Sarfaraz, KS Bharat or Mandeep. 4 Pant, 5 Mitchell Marsh, 6 Rovman Powell, 7 Lalit Yadav, 8 Shardul Thakur, 9 Akshay Patel, 10 Nokia and Khalil. Again, this is a strategy because Delhi don't have the strong bowling lineup once again. They have to resort to the same strategy which CSK have. It is have options. कुछ नहीं होता तो चलो इसको bowling करा दी, उसको करा दी. Save your play the game around your 2 bowlers who can bowl at any stage and give you wickets, and then back your batting. कि भाई जितना भी score होगा वो बनाना ही है. या always score 10 or 15 runs more than par. Because now you don't have that security of bowling. कि तुम 150 भी defend कर लोगे. Or you can always restrict the option opposition under 160 and then chase जो भी होगा because 160 हो जाता है. So they will have to shift their strategy a little bit. I am not very convinced with what they have done this time because when a bowler lacks support, he also doesn't do as well. Akshar may not do as well as he did in the last 2 seasons or 3 seasons because there is no support. Same for Nokia. I think they made a huge mess by getting both Khalil and Sakaria, especially for the prices that they got. And from there on, they just messed up things. They should have. They also, like Lucknow, have ended up with only 7 foreign players. अब एक देखने वाला तरीका ये है कि at one point of time they had 4 foreigners who they didn't play at all, who weren't adding value. Smith, Tom Curran, Ben Dwarshes, and Sam Billings. The one who could add value never played in the 11. The rest 3 did. Right. So now they've not even bought 8 foreigners. They are like कि चलो एक कमी खरीदते हैं, let's see. So पता नहीं उससे कितना फर्क पड़ेगा कि नहीं पड़ेगा.
एक एक्स्ट्रा फॉरेनर है ना अपने पास, उनके पास.
But they haven't been great at the auctions. They had a brilliant day 1, but on day 2 I thought they messed up things.
I think Ricky Ponting is the last foreign player, and he's he's always performing well. All right.
Okay.
Moving to Mumbai, last team. We save it for last. Before anything else, Mayank Markande is back. I'm very happy. I think they got him back just to trade him again, but like they got him back. So I am very happy. We'll start from there.
Are you happy with Mumbai's team? I am not happy with Mumbai's team. I don't see a batting middle order there. It's just not there. They have a top-heavy batting. And I really hope it doesn't come to it, but they might have to pay Dhaval Brewis at number 4, and that's not great. I mean, I know Tim David and all are there, but then foreign player का इधर उधर लोचा होता रहेगा. टाइमर मिल्स को खिलाओगे, जोफ्रा आर्चर को खिलाओगे, बुमराह को खिलाओगे, तो तुम्हारे पास पॉलार्ड को खिलाओगे, तो तुम्हारे पास फॉरेन प्लेयर का स्पॉट नहीं बचेगा. तो मतलब काफी ये सब हो रहा है. फेबियन एलन इज देयर.
हाँ, मुझे जेन्युइनली लग रहा है कि डेविड ब्रेविस को इसीलिए लिया है, उसका और कोई पर्पस नहीं है, और वो जक मार के उसको खिलाना ही पड़ेगा बिकॉज़ मिडिल ऑर्डर अदरवाइज बहुत ये हो जाएगा.
वो लड़का 3 मैच खेला है T20.
अभी भाई और गुरकीरत वही बात कर रहे थे उस दिन की, लाइक इन द T20 इन द अंडर 19 वर्ल्ड कप ही वाज जेन्युइनली अ फुट अबव लाइक द रेस्ट. सो लाइक maybe that counts for something, I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing, like if Mumbai bought 3 players in this, 3 foreigners, and those Jofra, Brevis and Tim David. Now you have to understand, a team like Mumbai can afford to buy Jofra at 8 when he's not available for a season, because one.
So before we go there, I don't know how true this is, and but there are some rumors floating around on cricket Twitter that Jofra might be available for this year's IPL. I don't think it's true.
अभी इसमें मेरे को एक बहुत मस्त मैच मेरे को आज मंदार भिड़े ने समझाया. उसने मेरे को बोला कि या तो जोफ्रा पूरा खेलेगा या तो बिल्कुल नहीं खेलेगा. अगर वो बिल्कुल नहीं खेलेगा तो वो पैसा मुंबई का बच जाएगा और फिर अगले सीजन तो वो है ही. तो I don't think they're worried only. I think this is a very long-term plan when it comes to Jofra.
It's not about worry, Akash. It's about Jofra telling the world I am not there for this year's IPL, which already turned off a few teams, which may have turned off Rajasthan from retaining him, whatever may be the case, maybe he didn't want to be retained. And then him coming back after Mumbai have bought him and saying, "Oh yeah, I am actually available." It
No, I
might
think
not go down well with other
no,
teams if it's true at all.
I don't think that will happen because that really affects the credibility. But I'm now speaking of the larger point. I think the reason Mumbai could have bought him for the price that they did is one, they have Bumrah, so they don't need another superstar bowler. They can afford a season without Jofra. The other is that even if Mumbai have a bad season, right? They have won 5 championships, so their brand value doesn't take a hit. Financially, they don't get hit. So teams like Mumbai and Chennai can take those gambles. कि ठीक है, क्या ही फर्क पड़ेगा? एक सीजन हार जाएंगे ना, 5 ट्रॉफी जीते हुए हैं, big deal. So with buys like Brevis, even Tim David is also not proven. So these 3 buys are like कि चलो ठीक है, Jofra अगर अगले सीजन आ गया तो बहुत बढ़िया है. ब्रीविस 3 करोड़ में ही खरीदा है, आज नहीं तो अगले 3 साल में तो स्टार बन ही जाएगा. तो ठीक है, it's an investment for the future. Tim David, if he doesn't work, then they can obviously release him and get him back if they need, like how they
और
release
Tim David एकदम ऐसा वो mercenary players में से है, like
नहीं, also I'll tell you one thing. So there was a season, I think in 2019 they bought 2019 or was it even before, they bought Nathan Coulter-Nile for 8 crores, and in the next auction bought him for 3 crores.
3 crores, yeah.
So they can
वो
even
standard
do
है
that.
हमारा,
तो
काफी स्मार्ट है पैसे के मामले
The point I'm trying to make is कि उनको इस चीज से इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, because एक सीजन ही खराब चले जाएगा at the worst. Now for me the issue is कि I potentially see them playing a 5-6-7 of David, Pollard and Fabian Allen, and another foreigner would be one of Tymal Mills or this guy who's the other person that they've bought.
Riley Meredith.
Yeah, Riley Meredith. He was in Punjab, हाँ. So either Riley Meredith. तो इनमें से कोई एक आ जाएगा, क्या कहते हैं, in the 11, right? Now I think what they would ideally do is they might have Kishan and Surya, one of them at 3, one of them at 4, depending upon situation क्या है, with Rohit to open. The other opener that they might have is someone like Anmolpreet Singh, who's been a part of their team for quite long, right? So तुम्हारा batting order at least on paper is fixed. कि Anmolpreet Singh opens with Rohit Sharma, 3 or 4 is Kishan and Sky, 5, 6, 7. You also, it is important that number 5 is David and he's not number 6, because नीचे हमेशा मुश्किल है perform करना. At 6 you have a proven guy in Pollard. 5 में you are shielding David with Surya and these guys at above him, and then Pollard to come after him. So you give him a license to go big, with Pollard and Fabian Allen to follow him. So your top 7 is more or less set. With bowling options also, because Pollard can bowl, Fabian Allen can bowl, and this guy Tim David also bowls an over or 2. Then you have your 4 bowlers. जिसमें one is Bumrah, the other would be Tymal Mills or Riley Meredith, and then you fill in those 2 bowlers.
Basil Thampi,
Murugan Ashwin.
This is where the problem begins. Outside of Bumrah, they don't have an Indian bowler. Forget a spinner.
What? दे उनाडकट को ऐसा मतलब तुम डिस्काउंट मत करो यार.
11 करोड़ में बिका था यार वो एक बार.
So there is Unadkat, there is Murugan Ashwin, there is Mayank Markande, and there is Basil Thampi.
Yeah.
See.
Also, you are forgetting an up-and-coming left-arm pace bowler. Very famous. Sachin Tendulkar.
Arjun.
Bidding war हुआ था उसके लिए. But yeah, like we discount this guy because he is coming obviously for certain reasons, but like he might be good, he might be good.
No, he's not, because he's been playing like shit only last 2 matches.
I'll be honest, I have not seen him play. Okay.
I have, Murgis, I'm telling you, I have seen him play. He used to play the Mumbai T20 League also. He's shit.
Yeah, that I have heard. He's played in that, but I haven't.
Chambly ki team
Playing
mein
the
tha wo.
Trophy this year.
So what I'm getting to is if he was good, then he wouldn't have been the last pick in the auction. So order
and he wouldn't, and उसके ऊपर सिर्फ इतना कम ये नहीं होता, पता है, bidding.
Base price. So it's like, am I also buy him for a reason? It's not that So ठीक है, as long as he's improving and he becomes a better cricketer, there is no harm, because money is not a question anyway for MI, and like 30 lakhs is anyway not a question for these franchises.
It's just that there is potential, and if he becomes good, like why not, right? Why can't he become good? He has all the facilities available to him with MI. So
नहीं अभी अच्छा वो तो अभी keeping that aside, I think generally मुंबई का क्या रहा है ना कि they like to keep players that they develop and develop. Like Anmolpreet Singh, I think is somebody I'm very excited to see, because it's the same thing with Ishan Kishan. You know, you see him in and out here and there. You're like, khel raha, and then suddenly they're fucking great.
नहीं, and Anmolpreet has been good for Punjab. ऐसा नहीं है कि he's not been scoring runs.
Yeah,
he's been decent. So I think वैसे भी I personally feel, this is my personal opinion, that of all the positions in the 11 which are there to fill in a T20 lineup, opening is the easiest. I think it's the easiest position to fill, genuinely. So even if you play a rookie there who's not played much, it's fine. Play Anmolpreet Singh, because जो बाकी जो firepower आने को है ना, you never know, that might liberate him to perform better than the potential, because there is not much pressure. Yeah. And I'm sure if I open their squad, all the options do just like open their squad once.
Yeah. Okay. Tilak, yes, Tilak Verma is also there, but like we discussed earlier, under 19 वाले बच्चे लोग का थोड़ा वो रहता है कि वो लोग कैसा करेंगे नहीं करेंगे.
Yeah. Similarly, there's this guy called Ritik Shokeen.
So one name which we have forgotten to discuss with regards to MI is Tilak Verma. There's been a lot of talk about it. That he's one guy who they have scouted well. And he also got sort of a bidding war, 1.7 CR.
Yeah.
So we might see कि हाँ वो कैसा है. I have not seen him, so I can't comment much. But I think MI, if not playoffs, they will at least be in the top 5, which has been.
वो तो मतलब given ही है, they are MI.
Yeah, like last season it didn't feel like that, but let's see how that goes. I think upra before we close, and we're right there, guys, right there. Over 100 people watching. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Before we close, if we could say top 3 on our end, कि अपने को क्या लग रहा है? Top 3 best किसने किया है ऑक्शन में? On paper सबसे अच्छे कौन से टीम लग रहे हैं? तो पहले धवल बताएंगे, because धवल को एक भी टीम अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, ऐसा लग रहा है.
No, I think Punjab Kings did well. They did really well at the auction. They've got a well-rounded squad. I think as maybe Gurkirat will disagree with me, but I think Delhi Capitals also did fairly well at the auction. They may have missed a step or two here and there. Maybe not all bases covered. Maybe they got involved in some sort of bidding war and got Khalil and Zakaria. Yes, but I think they had a decent auction. And और कौन है सबसे गंदा तो मतलब KKR ही था. Yeah, I think 2 and CSK. I know they may not have a good option, but they're just like I can't put them. I can't write them.
Yeah. मेरे लिए तो बहुत clearly it's Chennai, Punjab and Lucknow, because I feel like लखनऊ ने like एकदम ऐसा सोच के बनाया टीम. बस वही है कि ये अगर नहीं टिका पत्ते का किल्ला तो क्या होएगा, तो वो देखना है बस. Gil, what do you feel?
Lucknow and Punjab definitely better than others. Baki, I think KKR have done really bad. वो तो है ही.
So given
between others, see
who's done the worst?
KKR hands down.
KKR do.
Yeah.
KKR hands down.
वो तो retention से ही वो लोग हक दिए रे.
So they've been the worst. Yeah. Baki, I think it's there are genuine holes to fill in every team, but I have a feeling that Rashid and Hardik might just take Gujarat to top 3 somehow. They might do. They might have to play their cards right, because they have the players. थोड़ा team 11 का construction का issue है. बाकी with Delhi, like I said, they have holes. They might need a lot of things to fall in their favor. Same for Rajasthan also. They have a very good batting lineup, but these teams, a lot of teams, I think people keep saying कि maybe because of a 10-team IPL the quality might go down, etc. But I honestly feel it's not because of not having enough players, but it's because of the think tanks messing it up. I mean, you imagine someone like Adam Zampa. who was in my view the player of the World T20 going unsold, Shamsi going unsold. These players going unsold was not making any sense. Van der Dusen getting picked up at base could have been much better. So yeah, these few things. Then Paul Sterling, who's been someone really good, not getting a bid. Joshua Little, Blessing Muzarbani. So they also don't watch enough cricket. I think sometimes outside of the mainstream cricket to pick these players. So for me, top two are definitely Lucknow and Punjab. Baki 3 and 4 will just come down to which team is lucky, who has less injuries. Sometimes teams get lucky with injuries also because Nokia was not a buy in the auction. He was a replacement for Vokes in 2020. So there are these things also which you never know how they'll work.
Yeah. Oof. All right.
That finishes IPL auction review things and all.
Yeah.
There is, before we go, Akash, there is something very important that is going on in the world of Indian cricket, and that is the Ranji Trophy. Akash, get up. This is something that you like. Okay, Ranji Trophy is starting tomorrow, and we could not be more excited, even though Akash is super tired. And I'm going to wrap this up very quickly. I don't want to discuss anything. I just want to let you all know. Ranji Trophy starts tomorrow.
Nerf gun throughout this entire
Ranji Trophy starts tomorrow. If you guys have not heard it, Ranji Trophy starts tomorrow. Women's Cricket World Cup is starting very soon. So please do that, watch that, and बाकी तो हो गया 2 घंटा स्ट्रीम किया अपन ने.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Gujarat, for being and walking us through this because हाँ हम लोग को नहीं पता है cricket and every time we talk to you we realize हम लोग को कितना नहीं पता है. So it feels great.
I just have one thing to say, which Dhaval said in the beginning. I'll be just posting the 7th team. I've done a full analysis of 6 teams so far. I'll be posting RCB now. So please do follow it on my social media. And shortly, I'll also be releasing episodes of the talk show that I host. You can watch that. It's a bit different from what these guys do. I think this is more freewheeling, a more kind of a bakchodi thing. So over there, the conversation's a little more technical, a little more what do you call it? Maybe sophisticated. I don't know.
Wow!
Thanks, man.
I'm muting you now because you've hurt my feelings. Okay, guys.
I didn't know the right word, but basically what I'm trying to say
is focused.
नहीं focus नहीं because उसमें भी मजाक होता है. It's a little different.
तो सब होता है ना? सब होता है फिर.
डिफरेंट है इतना
हायर लेवल पे बोल ही दो ना यार रिफाइंड है बेटर है स्पीड पेट्रोल है वो हम लोग का डीजल है
अरे स्पीड पेट्रोल अफोर्ड कौन कर सकता है आजकल वो तो छोड़ दो मेरा पॉइंट ये है कि जैसे यहाँ पर क्या होता है कि कभी-कभी यू नो वी यूज वर्ड्स
यहाँ पे ना यहाँ पे गांड बोल सकते हैं वहां पे गांड नहीं बोल सकते ये है डिफरेंस
It's more like your backside's on fire.
All right, but definitely check out. It's called Gupshup with Gil, and also all the handles and everything is in the description. We'll be back next week. More cricket to do. F1 is happening. We are doing basketball also as soon as our hosts are completely recovered from all of their problems in life. And that's it from us this week. That's Couch Pundits Sports. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care. Tata. Bye bye. And now I have the opportunity of shooting you with the Nerf gun that my flatmate has shot me with all throughout the stream. There you go. And it hit me only. It was great. Thank you so much. Tata, bye-bye. Good night. And we're off.